this video, we're going to take a look at excuse me, how we find x and y intercepts for an equation, okay? The x and y intercepts are the points where the graph of the given equation will cross the x or y axis. So if you're planning on graphing an equation, these are very good things to find to begin the graphing process, or in the case of like a linear equation, the x and y intercept may be all you need to get a graph of that particular line, okay? So here's how we do it. To find the x-intercept, we're going to plug 0 in for y, then we're going to solve that equation for x, okay? So plug 0 in for y if you want the x-intercept. The x-intercept should be written as an ordered pair. It is a point on a graph, okay? To find y-intercepts, plug 0 in for x and solve for y. The y-intercept should be written as an ordered pair also, okay? All right, let's take a look at an example. A couple of examples, actually. Let me pull this down. Find the x and y intercepts for the graph of the equation. So here's our first equation. We've got x is equal to the absolute value of y minus 4. So this is an absolute value equation. You've seen how to solve absolute value equations already. We looked at some in section 1.1. This is really not any different other than the fact that we have both an x and a y present right now. But when we plug 0 in for either the x or y, either one, we're going to lose one of our variables, depending on which one we're working on at the time. So let's first take a look at the x-intercept. I'm going to abbreviate a little bit, save a little bit of room. To find the x-intercept, we plug 0 in for y. So it's going to look like this. X is equal to the absolute value of 0 minus 4. And then you just evaluate that. Absolute value of 0 is 0. And 0 minus 4 is just negative 4. We need to write that as an ordered pair, okay? So the x-coordinate of that ordered pair is the number that you just found. And then the y-coordinate is the value you plugged in for y to start that process, okay? That was 0. Anytime you have a point that's an x-intercept, that point is on the x-axis, and all points on the x-axis have a y-coordinate of 0, okay? So that's our x-intercept. And then to do the y-intercept, we plug 0 in for x, so that's going to give me 0 is equal to the absolute value of y minus 4. Now when we did absolute value equations in 1.1, the first step was to isolate the absolute value. So we need to move the negative 4 by adding it to both sides. And then when you have an absolute value equal to a constant, you actually get two values, okay? You get what's inside the absolute value set equal to the constant that you see. And then you also get what's inside the absolute value set equal to the opposite, or the negative, of that constant. So we get two values out of that. We get a positive 4 and we get a negative 4. So we have two y-intercepts. The y-coordinate of those intercepts are the two values that we just got, the 4 and the negative 4. And then since these points are on the y-axis, their x-coordinate is always 0, and that's the value that you plugged in for 0 anyway, okay? So that gives you an x value of 0 and a y value of 4, and then an x value of 0 and a y value of negative 4. And those are your two y-intercepts. Now if we were going to go ahead and graph this from here, what we would do is take a grid, plot these 3 points, and then plug in a few additional values for x into that equation so that we get some better ideas of how the graph laid out, okay? We will be doing that in the next video. We'll take x and y intercepts and then we'll proceed from there to get a graph from that, okay? All right, let's look at one more example here of just finding the x and y intercepts. This is just a plain linear equation here. We will take a little closer look at linear equations and their graphs in section 2.3. But we start the same way. We're looking for x-intercept, and what we're going to do is plug 0 in for y. So 3x minus 4 times 0 is equal to 12. Excuse me. We lose the negative 4 times 0 term. That goes to 0. And our x value is equal to 4. We divide both sides by 3. So I've got an x-intercept, again, at 4, 0. I'm going to scoot down. I didn't leave myself quite as much room this time. to do the y-intercept right here, so we'll do it down underneath. This time we're plugging 0 in for x to find the y-intercept. Okay. So if I solve that, that's going to give me a 0 for that first term. Minus 4y is equal to 12. So y is equal to 12 divided by -4, which is -3. I have one y-intercept, and it is at 0, -3. Oops. So those are my 2 points. And when you've got a linear equation like this, 2 points is really all you need, because it's going to be a straight line between the points on your graph. So you could just plot those 2 points and then just graph a line between them, and that's all you have to do for that one.